Hello, Miss Susan. It's so great to have you with me tonight.
Hi, Lena. It's great to be here.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Excited to have you on this platform with me. So, for those of you who are watching, please just shout out a quick little hello. Let Miss Susan know that you are joining in. So, welcome everybody on Facebook and YouTube. And for those who are going to be watching the replay. So, welcome everybody. Just comment hello. Let us know that you are watching. My name is Lena Lassiter, and I am the founder and president of Forever Healed. We are a nonprofit, and what we do is we help those who are suffering from pain from a loss of any kind. We help them to recover, restore, and reclaim their lives. And we do that in a couple of ways. We provide them tools through one-on-one grief recovery classes, and we do those virtually or face-to-face. And we also offer group sessions. And we also go to corporate and we conduct lunch and learns, and we do seminars on the hidden costs of grief in the workplace. So welcome, Susan. And we also know that, a loss could be attributed to breast cancer, right? Losing your health is something that we tend to grieve. So again, a lot of times when we think about grief, people think about the death of a loved one, but we know that grief is attributed to many additional losses. So we have some people coming in saying hello. Hey, Tanya. Hey, sis. How are you, sweetheart? Hi, Miss Pat. How are you? Hi, Alice.
Hey, Alice.
Don Meese. How are you, Don? All the way from California. Hey, sis. How are you? So the New Yorkers are in the house tonight as well. Thank you guys for joining us. It's great having you here. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the love and joining us. So Susan, we're going to talk about Breast Cancer Awareness Month tonight. So I want to just share a little bit about cancer and how it begins. And then we're going to turn it over to Susan to talk about some of her advocacy work and talk through her journey. So again, if you're joining us tonight, welcome. Hello, you guys on Facebook and YouTube. Please shout out a hello to us so that we know that you are watching. Let Susan know that you are here with us tonight. So cancer begins in the cells, which are the basic building blocks that make up tissue. So the tissue is found in the breast and other parts of our bodies. And sometimes the process of cell growth goes wrong and new cells start to form. And when the body doesn't need them, and old or damaged cells don't die as they should, this is when masses or tissues start to form, and they're called lumps or growth. So breast cancer occurs when malignant tumors develop in the breast, and then those cells spread by breaking away from the original tumor and entering blood vessels or lymph vessels, which branch into tissue in the body. Susan, did I get that right? See, I'm educated. I learned from my experience.
You did. You did a great job.
Good. So, welcome, Regina. Hello. Thank you for joining us tonight. This is going to be a great conversation, guys. So stay tuned. And again, if you have questions, women, please stay tuned. We're going to talk about self-examinations and all of that. So stay tuned with us tonight. So Susan, again, welcome. It's so great having you here on this platform with me. As you know, as a result of COVID, this has been a blessing for us because, we had speaking engagements lined up, we had classes lined up throughout the year, and then COVID hit and boom, we couldn't do it. But what's been great about this is that COVID pushed us out of our comfort zone and just looking at Forever Healed and what we offer. And we started branching out and we started collaborating and partnering and networking with SMEs in the community, other organizations to just bring hope and joy and love and peace, especially during this time. So with advocacy work, it does take a community. We love to say it takes a village, but it takes a community for us to use our voices and be an advocate. So I just love what you do. So you work in corporate America. You are a 2-time breast cancer survivor. And I use the word loosely, guys. And this is just Lena talking. And Susan, I know that you're not really big on the pink either. So I wore my shirt that said breast cancer is more than a pink ribbon. But I want to talk about the survivor versus the conqueror. Just real quick, Susan. And then I want you to jump in and start talking about your advocacy work and anything you want to share about yourself. But a survivor is defined as one who remains alive or in existence, like one who lives on. So I always look at that, like when you survive something, you could outlive it, but it still can kind of be torturing you and you're not truly healed from it, like in your mind. But a conqueror, on the other hand, is a person who is prepared for the battle and they win and they overcome, the challenging circumstances. They become more stronger and they become more rooted to fight every battle. So when I think about you, and I know I'm saying that you were a 2-time breast cancer survivor, but you are a 2-time breast cancer conqueror. So you have done more than outlived it because you do advocacy work. You help uplift other women. I know you've helped some women in my family. You helped me, when I was going through my issues in my breast. So, and you're always uplifting and providing educational tools. So to me, you have done more than just outlived, your diagnosis. So you are more than a conqueror, Susan. That's what I call you. And that's my whole spiel on survivor versus being a conqueror.
Well, I'm afraid I'm not real fond of any of the words that are used in the breast cancer realm. Survivor, I don't really feel like you're a survivor of something until the day you die of something else. And so that's been a hard thing because I've watched friends struggle for many years with breast cancer, and survivor kind of makes it feel as if you're no longer struggling. And that's a real hard one. And then the war terminology is really difficult for me as well. I know I had somebody call themselves a 2-time breast cancer victor over the weekend. And I thought that was kind of an interesting word. And a lot of people consider themselves cancer thrivers. And that's kind of interesting. But I don't find that any of the terminology is really the right one. But I haven't found the right ones, and I'm still searching for the right words to describe what I am. But I'm living through it and adapting as I go along.
All right, and inspiring as you go along. So I definitely don't want to leave that out.
Well, thank you.
Talk to us a little bit, Susan, about the advocacy work that you do.
Well, my first diagnosis was in 2007. And up until that point, I knew my family have a real strong history of breast cancer. In the 70s, my mother and her sister were both diagnosed with breast cancer. And in the 80s, I lost my sister and also a first cousin on my father's side to breast cancer. And they were in their 30s. So it was a rude awakening to what breast cancer can do to a family. And so I always kind of said to myself, well, I'm different than the rest of my family and I'm not going to get breast cancer. But that didn't quite happen. And I knew that after I went through my treatment and got to the other side of getting back to my new normal, that I had to do something because I couldn't let this keep happening. And first of all, I had learned a lot about breast cancer, and I found the Virginia Breast Cancer Foundation, and I had met someone along the line, along my journey right before I had my surgery, and I reconnected with her, and I got involved with Virginia Breast Cancer Foundation and went up to Washington and advocated for breast cancer research and breast cancer laws. And I just really connected and found it was a really great thing. And I just kept going. And I went through training to learn all about breast cancer through something called Project LEAD through the National Breast Cancer Coalition. And I learned the science of cancer. And I just fell in love with the research. And I go to conferences all the time to hear the latest research, and just find that that's where I feel I can make a difference, is to help to know what to know what causes cancer, what all about breast cancer, and to advocate for the right research, not just research, but the right research that's going to make a difference. And I review research grant proposals along with scientists, and, which is very, very humbling, and just love that. And I also I mentor others, like with breast cancer. So it seems as if it is part of my life, because there was a time when I said last year, oh, maybe it's been 12 years, maybe I'll give it a rest. And then I got a second diagnosis, and I was just like, nope, there's no rest. You can't rest.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, Susan, you are just equipped for battle, and you're just, listen, you're like, I'm not going to just lay down. I can't rest on this thing. I got to keep going. And the fact that you just keep going and continue to motivate others is just such, and you're such an inspiration. I want to talk about, though, as someone who has had breast cancer, and then, October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and, we see all the pink and the ribbons, but how do you feel about Breast Cancer Awareness Month?
Well, it's a hard month for me. And I find it often makes me angry to see all of this pink, and to think that, pink is what's going to do it. Pink is, you're wearing pink, you're showing awareness. Well, we're aware. I've been aware of breast cancer since before I was 18. I knew about breast cancer, and I'm far from 18 right now. So I've known a long time about breast cancer, and we're very aware of breast cancer. And I just want to see things change. And we talk about it, and we try and make it look pretty. Pink is associated with, feminine, pink, pretty little things. And it's not pretty. It's not a pretty disease. And we leave behind a lot of the people who are suffering, who have metastatic disease that is never going to go away, that they're going to be in treatment for the rest of their lives. And we leave that behind, and we just kind of celebrate and try and sell products that have little ribbons on it. So it's kind of a hard thing for me, but at the same time, it's a month where you can talk about things and put other things in front of people that they might not know.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. So let's talk a little bit about when you were first diagnosed. What was the first question that you had?
Well, having lost a sister to breast cancer, and being very close to my mother, my first question was, how do I tell my mother? Because I knew how she felt, and I knew how, she had felt that she survived, but her daughter didn't. And I just knew that I had to be cautious how I spoke to her. And my doctor was very good, and she gave me a lot of information to present it, to let her know that this was very different than what my sister went through, and that I was going to be fine, and that it was going to be a very different experience. And I knew that my mother was in her 80s at that time, and I knew she had to be with me for my journey. And so I invited her to stay with me through everything. And then she felt that she wasn't being helpful because, you know, she was in her 80s and there wasn't an awful lot she could do, and that she was much younger when she was taking care of helping my sister, and she helped my sister with her children, her babies at the time. And she just said to me one day, she goes, what am I doing? How am I helping you? And I'm like, my kitchen is clean. I said, my kitchen would not be clean if you weren't here. My laundry is done. My laundry would not be done if you weren't here. And you're here and you're helping me. And as much as you can do is helping me.
Yeah. So you're getting a lot of comments. And I think about what you said about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So Kim, I think that's where you were going with this. You said you understand that view. And that's the same thing that your sister said. So Kim is a good friend of mine. We've been friends for a long time, and they went through this with her sister a few years back. So thank you, Susan. So, what I want everybody to hear, we are all different and we're all unique, and we're all going to feel, differently about whatever we go through. And I do think, Kim, if I'm right about what you're saying about the Breast Awareness Month, let's give us a little thumbs up or just say yes. Because we do tend to buy all this pink and try to pretty it up, and and like you said, you guys understand, what you're going through. And when you're going through it, it's not pink bowls and roses, and it doesn't feel that way. So that's why you're such an advocate on the research, because you want a cure. You want money to be going to that, right? Like research and finding cures and just seeing a change, with the progression of this disease.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that I found was one of the things that was the most disappointing to me the second time around, because I didn't see huge changes. And here, it's been 12 years, and I'm going through the treatments that were offered to me were exactly the same. And they say that they try and they individualize some treatment, but what they're looking at is they're looking at the type of breast cancer that you have, but they don't always take into account who you are.
Right.
And so that's really what's difficult. It's like, I know this and I understand this and I understand these numbers, but look at me and look at what else I do in my life.
Yeah.
And you need to take all of this into account when you're talking about my treatment. And you also have to take into account the way that my body reacts to drugs and different things. And that has been something that's been difficult to see that isn't always taken into account.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, what, Susan, thank you for being so transparent, guys. We're just going to have some real conversation tonight about this, because Susan, you are aware when I had my surgeries to move the precancerous cells in my breast, and I had surgery on both breasts. The first thing that the treatment option was, well, you just need to go ahead and remove your breast, because it's not it's not a matter of if, it's when. So like you said, they're treating me like they would do everybody else. And then my doctor was like, no, go get a second opinion. Go get a second opinion. Why would you do something that radical, at this point, in your life? So no, it's not a one size fits all, type of treatment plan. So it kind of brings me to our next topic that I want to talk about, because when we facilitate our grief recovery classes and seminars, we always speak, Susan, about the myths of grief, right? So let's talk about some of the myths about breast cancer.
Well, I'm going to go with the one because of what you just said, and because it's something that I shattered last year, where there are people who believe that if you have a bilateral mastectomy and remove your breast, you can't get breast cancer. And that is just so not true, because I did have a bilateral mastectomy in 2007, and I did get a second breast cancer. It wasn't the old breast cancer that came back. It was a brand new, very different cancer. And when they remove your breasts, they remove the tissue. And as you said, it's cells. They can't get every single cell. There's still cells that are left there. They've gotten the majority of them, but they can't get them all. And my body is a very good breast cancer making body. I have a mutation, one of the breast cancer mutations. And that, what that actually does is we all have the breast cancer genes, the BRCA1 and 2. We all have those genes, but my gene is mutated. And because of that, my DNA isn't repaired. That's what that gene is responsible for, is repairing your DNA. So when something doesn't go right, it's not able to fix it. So that's one big myth. I just want you to know. And since I said that, I want to just say about that most people don't have these mutations. These are rare. So it's not a common thing to have it. I'm a rare bird. So that's a big mess. And all the push about having mammograms, mammograms don't prevent breast cancer. So they're a diagnostic tool. Right. And you can't even diagnose all breast cancers, but they are the tool that we have right now. So that's another one. And you mentioned breast cancer not being curable. And I've heard doctors speak that say, oh, we've cured that cancer. And I don't know how that makes people feel who've had a recurrence 20 years later. So it's that is a big myth. You're not cancer free when you're done with your treatment. The best that they can come up with is no evidence of disease. So we refer to that NED. So we all want to be NED. And I know when I was going through waiting for the results of a PET scan that I had, I just made a beautiful drawing of Ned. And I just put that out there, and I held it up it was on my mantle of my fireplace. And I just kept looking at that. And I knew that when I got the phone call with the results, they were going to tell me that there was no evidence of disease. And that is what I got. So that's my power of suggestion.
Yes. All right, Susan. So we talked about, all breast cancer treatment, not being the same. Was there anything that surprised you about your treatment?
Yeah, it was. I was surprised at how often that they offer up chemotherapy very early on. For very early diagnoses, and they're not thinking they present it to you, and they say these are the side effects. But what they tell you are the side effects of what the chemo while you're undergoing chemo treatment is going to be. They don't tell you about the long-term side effects, and so that was very surprising to me, is that they still weren't educating, even when I went in the second time around, and I knew a lot at that point. And they didn't give me that, and they weren't real upfront with that information. I had to kind of pull it out. But the good surprise I had was how far radiation treatment had come. Because I was very fearful of radiation, because I know that there's long-term effects, and there's a lot of problems with heart and lungs after that because of the location of the radiation and treatment. And I had to go through a type of, because of the location of my tumor, was the second time was on the left side, and it was partially in my muscle. I had radiation treatment, and I had this deep inspirational breath hold treatment where I had to hold my breath while they delivered the radiation. And by holding your breath, it moves your heart and lungs out of the way.
Mm.
So I did not get any radiation from into my heart, and I have very minor scarring on my lungs from on one lung from the treatment. But you know, it has come a very long way, because that's not the same results as people who had radiation treatment 20 years ago had.
Right. So we have a question. Are the 3D mammograms better than the regular mammograms?
Well, that's a real hard one to answer. And there's a lot of different opinions about it. And they do give you a different view, but they also sometimes give you more, they see more things that might not be a problem. So I really can't answer that. That's really something I would leave to a physician to answer, because there's different amounts of radiation. I had a radiology oncologist tell me that it's how they it's the machines, they calibrate them differently. There's a different amount of radiation that can come from the same type of mammograms. So I think it would be dependent upon where you are.
Yeah, because that 3D view, like you said, I mean, it's picking up more things than what a regular mammogram would do. But it can also, Tanya, it can pick up like the density, you know, in your breast and, you know, things like that better as well. But to Susan's point, sometimes it's picking up things that aren't truly, you know, a concern. But at the same point, you know, they could be, because it's that 3D view. And again, they're picking up more things like the density and things of that nature as well.
Yeah, I think that's a hard one.
Yeah, and Patricia said she had the same question. Yeah. Yeah, so again, guys, it's just, you know, it's a very unique and individual journey, you know, as to what they would require. So like I have to have the 3D mammograms, you know, every year. And I actually talked that over with my surgeon and, you know, my doctor. And that's what they recommend, you know, me doing, which was a blessing to me because I was going every 6 months prior to that, you know, having all the diagnostic testing done. So it's been nice to just go once a year and to have that 3D mammogram done.
Yeah, and I've never had a 3D mammogram because I haven't had mammograms since they've had the 3D machines available.
Okay. Do you know what research shows about the holistic treatments like herbs versus chemo? Good question, Leanne.
Yeah, Leanne, that's something that is certainly not equal. I just actually spent 2 days online at a virtual integrative oncology conference. And with integrative oncology, what they do is they combine traditional and some more alternative medicines together. And it's all evidence-based. And there's not a lot of research on herbs. And, you know, of course, a lot of the focus over the weekend was on COVID. And there's nothing to show anything that you do helps with COVID as far as herbal. There's some suggestions, but there's nothing that any supplements can help you. And I would not say that it is a direction that you should go if you truly have cancer that would really benefit from chemotherapy. But that's something you need to also discuss with professionals who have knowledge. And definitely, there isn't an alternative, a holistic alternative that's going to take you through if you have advanced breast cancer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good questions. Good questions, ladies. And don't forget to do breast your self breast examination.
Yes, that's something I really, they kind of went away from them for a while. They're back talking about you need to know the changes in your breasts, because that's how you can that's how I found my second cancer, is I felt it and the doctor didn't feel it. And I said, I'm like, no, you've got to feel here. This is where it is. And, at a regular exam, it wasn't felt. There's also some breast cancers that aren't picked up on mammograms. So that's really important, so that you know that there's some changes in your breast cancer, because there's a lobular breast cancer, which is cellular, and there's often no lump there. And they're very hard to detect with a mammogram, as well as inflammatory breast cancer, which as the name implies, it's an inflammation. So any changes in your breasts is something important to bring to the attention of your doctor.
Right. And who knows your body better than you? And I know I keep saying ladies, but that's another myth, because men can also, get breast cancer as well.
Right. Men can get breast cancer. It's certainly not as prevalent in men. I think it's like 1 in 850 men will develop breast cancer in their lifetime, as opposed to 1 in 8 women. But it's something that happens. I've met many men who have had breast cancer, and it's something that's not as easily spoken about also.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with that. So, don't forget to do your self breast examinations. And the best way to remember when to do them. So every month, your birthday day, that's one way that you can remember. And again, you know your body better than anyone else. So you have to be the one to feel comfortable with doing your self breast examinations, and make sure that you do them, on a monthly basis. So if nothing else, as far as Breast Cancer Awareness Month, again, it just brings light to this disease. It reminds us that we should be doing our self-examinations. And you're never too young. You don't have to wait until you're 50, 60 years old to start doing it. So I just encourage everyone to start, doing those now. This is the time we want to open up. And if you have any further questions for Susan, please type them in the comments, and we'll make sure that we can get them answered for you. Okay, did you get that, Susan?
Yeah, I think that ultrasounds are used as a diagnostic. So I've had many ultrasounds, and I've unfortunately I saw both of them that had cancer, and knew that there was something different in that ultrasound, but it was used as a diagnostic. And there really isn't anything that is preventative. So I don't know what the proper response is. And just because you don't have family history, because you do have family history, even though we're not blood related, even though you don't have family history, it doesn't mean you can't get breast cancer, because the majority of people who are diagnosed with breast cancer have no family history of it.
That's true. Yeah. So again, that's another myth. So I think we believe that if this runs in our family, we're more prone to, having the disease, but that is also a myth. Yes, it is. So typically, like to Susan's point, there is no history of breast cancer for most, people who have been diagnosed. Sometimes there is.
Yeah.
Majority of individuals, there's no history. Okay, very good. Any other questions? Any questions you have for Susan regarding her journey about Breast Cancer Awareness Month, breast cancer period? You're welcome, Alice. Okay. I was a child when my mother found a lump in her breast. It was non-benign tumor. Can you explain, okay, what benign and non-benign means?
So, benign, a benign tumor means that it is not cancerous, and the malignant tumor is one that is cancerous. And then there's all different levels of cancer. So they stage it that they call like a DCIS or in situ DCIS or LCIS. That they call that stage 0 because it hasn't moved. It's not yet moved out of the one out of the tumor. But once it becomes invasive, then they start staging it, and they stage it 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's dependent on a lot of things, and they even change staging as you go along, depending on the size and whether any lymph nodes are involved, and whether it has traveled anywhere outside of the breast. And once it travels to another organ, it's considered metastatic or stage 4, and that there is absolutely no cure for that, and that there's treatment for the rest of your life. I have friends who have been going for treatment every few weeks for years, and they'll go through a treatment, and if it works, they keep going. If not, you keep switching treatments. So I look and I think how amazing they are.
So Leanne asks, is there an increase in the number of cases of breast cancer, or is it that there is more awareness? If increase, what does research point to as some possible causes?
So they say that there's more, that they have better that they're advancing their treatment so that more cancer doesn't go further than early stages. That could just be that we are diagnosing more. I don't think there's much of a reduction in breast cancer. There's not much of a reduction in the number of people who die from breast cancer. It's very small. There isn't a lot that we really know about what the causes are. And, that's just a hard one. That's a lot of the research revolves around treating the cancer. They talk about prevention, but they're not really preventing. They're reducing risk.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different than prevention. I always get excited when I hear there's going to be a lecture on prevention, but then I'm always disappointed because I don't feel that it's true prevention. I'm going through what's called prevention right now. For 5 years, I'm on an aromatase inhibitor, which suppresses my estrogen. And that's supposed to prevent future breast cancers. My first breast cancer was not driven by estrogen. My second one was. And there's so many side effects. It is not the most pleasant thing. And I'm having a lot of trouble with my hands and joints. And we all have different things that we experience going through them, but they consider that prevention. It's kind of a funny word that they use. I don't know if I missed any questions that came across.
No, I don't think so. Some of them were just comments. People were just thanking you for answering their questions. Colleen Dennis said that you were an inspiration.
Oh, so is she.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? I just want to make sure that you guys get what you need tonight. I learned a lot. I hope the rest of you did as well. Just understanding again that we are all unique and individual and our journeys are going to be different. Just learning that there are different types of breast cancer. That is not a one and done treatment for, everyone. So thank you, Susan, for just enlightening us there. And then just being open and honest about how you feel, even about, the month, right? Because I think sometimes we're so conditioned to just do certain things or say certain things, just like grief. And, sometimes that's really not what the person who's going through that really needs or wants. So I just thank you for being, so transparent in that. I know I learned a lot, tonight, just even learning about the inflammatory type, of breast cancer. So I really thank you for just sharing your knowledge and your wisdom with us and, sharing your own testimony and your story with us.
Oh, I'm happy to do it. I'm always happy to talk about my story. It's important to me to share, and it's important to me to learn as much as I can. For me, knowledge is power, and I know not everybody feels that way because I've had friends who've gone through the journey and have not wanted to even know anything about their cancer. And for me, I can't get enough, and I can't stop asking questions. And I just want to make sure that you ask questions and you don't just take. Like Lena said, she went for a second opinion. I saw 3 medical oncologists during this last diagnosis to get different opinions. And nobody was upset about me going to another doctor for an opinion because it's important. These are big choices.
Yeah, it really is. And again, just knowing, your body and understanding your body is key. So thank you, Patricia. Yes.
Yeah.
Both of us don't like the word survivor. So you guys learned that about me tonight too. But I get what people, I understand, where that comes from. But again, being unique and individual, like we all have our, feelings about that as well. And this is the safe place, and you can be honest about, how you feel. So I love doing this on Monday nights. So again, thank you all for joining in tonight. I really appreciate it. Great questions, good conversations. I want everyone to take care of themselves. If you haven't done it yet this month, go do your self examination. What I would like for you to do is to please share this video with anyone that you think would benefit from it. Share it on your Facebook pages, like it, and go to Forever Heal's YouTube channel and subscribe, because sometimes we put videos out there and just help tips about any type of grief or losses that you may be going through. And next month, I kind of want to give you a sneak peek on next month. We're going to be talking about forgiveness next month. And we have some great speakers lined up, let me tell you. So we have Kentana Smith. She's the co-founder of J2F Ministries, and she's going to kick us off. They do an 8-week course on forgiveness. And then I personally have a special surprise for all of you guys, something that I'm working on. So I'm working on a special project to talk about my brother when he was murdered and how I had to forgive the person who murdered him. So more to come on all of that. So next month, we're going to be talking about the power of forgiveness. So continue to join us on Monday nights at 7 o'clock. And also let us know what topics that you guys are interested in. So again, we are going to be collaborating and networking through the end of the year to bring topics to light that you guys are interested in. So Susan, thank you so much for being a voice tonight. Shining your light, your inspiration, your expertise, your knowledge. Continue to do what you're doing, being an advocate. Again, you were just a jewel in my life and my family's life during some really rough times, and we could not have gotten through without you. So thank you. I appreciate you being here tonight.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me, and thank you for all you do.
All right. Thanks, Arnika. So she says she has a cup and a mask that she can donate. Thank you, Arnika. We really appreciate that. So I want everybody to have sweet sleep tonight. peaceful rest, and we will see you next time. Thank you.